people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Former UFC champion Holly Holm signs with MVP, books June boxing match on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez, announced earlier today. The signing at the presser for Jake Paul versus Chavez. Former UFC women's bantamweight champion Holly Holm is returning to the boxing ring for the first time in over 12 years. Holm is the latest woman to join the growing group of female boxers at Jake Paul's most valuable promotions and will step into the ring against the undefeated Yolanda Vega in a 10-round lightweight bout on the undercard of Paul's June 28th fight with Julio Cesar Chavez. MVP made the surprise announcement during Wednesday's Paul versus Chavez news conference in Anaheim. "I'm excited to partner with MVP and return to the boxing ring," Holm said via a statement to ESPN. "This new chapter is going to be an exciting journey, and I'm looking forward to the challenge." Fighting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, Holm, 43, started her combat sports career in a boxing ring, amassing a record of 33 wins, 2 losses with 3 draws, and winning world titles in 3 weight classes. She competed in both boxing and mixed martial arts in 2011, but she shifted solely to MMA in 2013. She signed with the UFC in 2015 and famously knocked out then unbeaten Ronda Rousey at UFC 193 on November 15th of 2015 in one of the biggest upsets in MMA history, tantamount to Buster Douglas's big win over Mike Tyson. It was that big a deal. She amassed an MMA record of 15 wins with 7 losses from 2011 to 2024. Following her loss to Kayla Harrison at UFC 300 in April of last year, Holm requested her release from the UFC to pursue other ventures, with women's boxing in a far different state than when she competed, where both the exposure and money have improved. Holm decided to give boxing one last run. Holly Holm is the most dominant two-sport athlete in history, period. Her accomplishments in both boxing and MMA are unmatched, and we're honored to welcome her to MVP, said Nikisa Badarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions. "I remember when Holly shocked the world by knocking out Ronda Rousey, and I have no doubt she has the ability to shock the world again in her quest to become a boxing world champion once more. But Yolanda is a proud Mexican fighter and has her own plans, which is why she has signed a multi-fight contract with MVP." Now, I haven't had a look at Yolanda yet, but you figure that they're not going to really throw Holly on the deep end, are they? Having not boxed in close to 13 years? We're going to have to get a look at Yolanda to see what Holly's going to be dealing with next month. Fighting out of Ciudad Obregón, Sonora, Mexico, Vega, 10-0 with 1 KO, started her pro boxing career in 2015, but was relatively inactive. However, she has fought 4 times over the past year, with her last outing in March. Fighting against a champion of this stature on Saturday, June 28th, brings me closer to my aim of becoming a world champion. I respect and admire her work a lot, but today she's become my next goal, and goals are meant to be achieved, Vega said. Holm was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2022, but has plans to become a world champion once more before hanging the gloves up for good. Coming full circle back to boxing, I've spent most of my MMA career at 135 pounds, and now I have the opportunity to make my boxing debut at that weight, she said. With boxing titles in 3 higher weight classes under my belt, I'm eager to pursue a 4th title in a new division. What's not in the article, what wasn't said, we first caught wind of Holly's potential return to the sport of boxing approximately 3 months ago upon her departure from the UFC, her release. But then news broke that she had joined a new fighting federation, a fledgling fighting federation that goes by the name GFL. Another MMA league. A fighting federation comprised of mostly old war horses and veterans like Holly. And because she's now decided to come back to boxing, I guess that GFL thing didn't work out. Well, I said it then, that based on where women's boxing is right now, and with the notoriety that she amassed in the UFC, it might be a good time to come back. That, given her age, that she's 43 years old, with 7 losses in the octagon, she's done all she can do in MMA, but there might still be something she can do in boxing. The money's a lot better now, the exposure. Every major promotional outfit now has 1 or 2 girls signed. It's different. The prediction stuck. I said it 3 months ago. Holly continuing her MMA career isn't going to make any headlines, but if she comes back to boxing, that will get people's attention. She says she wants to become a champion at 135 pounds. There are 4 champions there now. I don't think it's Caroline Dubois or Beatrice Ferreira she's after. I don't think it's Terry Harper either. I think it's Stephanie Hahn. And we'll get into why in another video. But it's a good move. It's a smart one. For her age and where she is now in her combat sports career, boxing has more to offer her than MMA does. So you get 1 or 2 easy ones before you challenge for a title. And what other revelations were unveiled as a result of today's press conference?
His name's obviously Gervonta Davis, 15 sellouts in a row, 2 division champion. You and him were very close to fighting. Did we see that in November?
Yeah, no, we're working on it behind the scenes to make that happen, and obviously that's a fight where the fans are going to win, and it's going to be the biggest event of the year.
What way would you fight in that?
We're working on it, but it'd be an exhibition most likely.
It would have to be, because there is no middle ground between a lightweight and a cruiserweight. The discrepancy in weight is far too great for there to be a way to meet in the middle. For a contest, it can't be a contest, but it can be a spectacle that draws people in and draws their attention. Jake Paul's not wrong when he says that it could be the biggest fight of the year, if nothing else, the biggest event. One of them. Imagine if they did it on Netflix the same way they did the Tyson fight, making it available to all of their existing subscribers at no additional charge. That could be big. It could be huge. But Gervonta Davis has to make it there, and I don't see enough people saying it, but Gervonta Davis is in a crisis situation. We haven't seen or heard much of him since the Lamont Roach fight, the Lamont Roach draw that most people feel should have been a loss. What was alarming is that Lamont Roach, a super featherweight, was able to take the power from the would-be Tank, and not just take the power, but dominate the pocket, win most of the exchanges, hands at home, slipping and countering, rolling and countering, catching and countering. It wasn't what people thought would happen. Admittedly, it's not what I thought would happen. Gervonta Davis is a short, stumpy, stocky fighter. Even as far as lightweights go, he doesn't have a lot of size. So mid-range to inside tends to be his sweet spot, where he does his best work and lands his best punches. So you can imagine my surprise, and the surprise of the boxing world, to see Lamont was winning the exchanges at that proximity. Does Gervonta Davis have it in his tool bag to adjust? Because he's never had to. He's never been in a rematch situation. He usually fights guys that are all cut from the same cookie cutter. Guys that might throw 3 and 4 punches at a time, allowing him to put his counter-punching on display. A guy who's going to let his hands go stands a greater chance of getting caught in between. That's your Mario Barrios, your Leo Santa Cruz, your Isaac Cruz, your Rolly Romero. Guys with not so great fundamentals, not so great defense, combination punchers, aggressive ones. Guys who step into their shots. Where Lamont is more cerebral. Lamont is more the boxer than a brawler. Not even known for power, but he did score a knockdown. The whole world saw it. It was off a jab, and Gervonta Davis took a knee. We all know what the explanation was, but in a sport as brutal as this one, that explanation won't suffice. that a little bit of hair gel got in your eye.
Many guys and girls have we seen with blood in their eyes. Keep fighting.
Not hair care products, not conditioner, not Soul Glow, but actual blood that you're giving us. This cockamamie excuse. No, we haven't seen or heard much from Gervonta since that fight. And I think he is facing a crisis situation in spite of what his handlers have planned for him.
Oh yes, there's a lot of money to be made in a Jake Paul exhibition, but you have to make it there. And if you lose to Lamont over the summer months, I think that kills the Jake Paul exhibition.
That would, in effect, take the air out of the tires. Now, I'm sure that the PBC will do whatever they can, because they already have, to ensure that Gervonta Davis doesn't lose. But I'm getting those Wilder versus Fury vibes, you know? Wilder versus Fury 1 ended in a draw, just like this fight.
And then you saw what happened in a rematch.
That was the end of the Bronze Bomber. He's been in a downward spiral ever since then. Is that about to happen to Gervonta Davis? Rematches are often won by the fighter who can change, the fighter who can adapt. Is that Gervonta? Or is that Lamont?
They're not going to let Lamont go in there and win a decision. Lamont's only out is to stop Gervonta, is to knock him out or force him to quit.
Quit on his stool, because he's not mentally strong. He's never had to be. Against anybody that he's fought, it was all but a foregone conclusion that he would win the fight. And he goes into those fights with that sense of security.
I don't think he really has that now. After that performance and all the things that people have been saying about him, he's never had it rough.
Not really. So many plaudits and so many pundits turning a blind eye to the soft matchmaking for years now, exaggerating about his pay-per-view numbers, complicit with trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes about what is so obviously a manufactured hype job, a protected fighter.
And that's the thing about boxing. Sooner or later, the truth is going to come out. Sooner or later, what's been in the dark will get exposed.
Initially, they said the rematch should be going down sometime in June. Then it got pushed back to either late July. Now they're saying August.
PBC have put a hold on the T-Mobile Arena for a date in August 16th.
The rematch will be bigger than the first one. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, that's what they say. And Gervonta Davis has been absent from the public eye since their initial meeting. Is he going to come back better?
Or is history about to repeat itself? When Gervonta fights Lamont for the second time, is that going to be like when Wilder fought Fury for the second time?
No, I'm pissed off at Eddie. I don't like him. I don't like Eddie because I don't understand what the fuck he doing and why. It's like even with the money thing, he minimizing who my son is, what my son is. My son is making more money right now than Boost was making when he was 24, but you gonna pick out a 24-year-old kid that make this amount of money in 8 minutes? The fuck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like everything he doing, he think he's throwing shots, but he really not. Like I said, I don't understand the reasoning, the point for what the fuck he doing, what he doing. I don't know what he got going on. I think it's, again, I try to make sense of everything in my brain, you know what I'm saying, or whatever else. Like, I know his 3-fight deal with Boost was up, so I felt like he wanted to do something, I don't know, to keep himself relevant. I don't know what that was about, because, you know, he had the 3 fights, so now Boost is up for a new contract with him. So maybe he was like, okay, well, let me see if I can get you the Brian Norman fight. Well, I tried to get him to sign it, but he wouldn't sign it. Like, I don't know if he on the same shit. I don't know, because even with the fight, when they said we turned it down, we never turned it down. We counter offered. We have literally never turned down the fight with Jerron Anderson.
If that were true, then you would have fought him by now. When you say you never rejected an offer, not accepting it is rejecting it. And if you had accepted the offers that have gone out to make that fight, we would have saw it already. Would have happened by now.
You say that you made counter offers? Asking for more money is not a counter offer, because you're not offering to do anything. You're not offering to pay for the fight. You're just asking for more money. And where is your promoter in all of this? If you're so worth what you think you're worth, why aren't they putting the money up?
There's no substance to what Brian Norman Sr. says. He's just another one of these talkative boxing dads that likes the sound of his own voice because he thinks he sounds good saying his stuff. But if Brian Norman were really worth what you think he's worth, then Top Rank would put up the money. This is clout chasing. So because your son has a fight coming up in Japan against Jin Sasaki, you're going to start doing the rounds on all the podcasts talking about boots.
Because the boxing community at large, in this part of the world, don't know who the hell Jin Sasaki is, but they do know Boots.
Do you want to explain why you're so averse to fighting Boots in his neck of the woods, but you're okay to fight Jin Sasaki in his, halfway around the world? A fighter like Brian Norman has to leverage his limitations as a fighter against whatever's on the table for him. That's why they're playing hardball. That's why they're sandbagging it.
It's because they don't like his chances.
And since he's young, they're willing to waste time playing these games because they think they have time to waste. I'll tell you that the worst thing that could happen to Brian Norman is he goes to Japan and Jin Sasaki's in. He Brian's his Norman.
Oof.
Be a train wreck. It would be a disaster. And you can't coast on foreign soil. They're only going over there because they view Jin Sasaki as being more beatable than Boots.
The fighters like Brian Norman and his team always negotiate from a position of weakness.
Maybe they don't have much of a choice. Maybe they're waiting for Jaron Ennis to leave the division. Because if he does, Brian Norman stands a good chance of beating a Mario Barrios, a Ryan Garcia, a Devin Haney, these youngsters that are now moving into the welterweight division. Brian stands a good chance of beating them, but he don't stand no chance of beating Boots.
He can beat a Rolly. Maybe he can beat up a Teofimo.
But with Boots, they don't like their chances, and maybe that's what this is. They're just waiting the situation out, waiting for Boots to leave, because once he does, they figure they'll have the run of the place, not realizing those younger guys that are moving into this division, they're not going to give you the time of day. They're not going to make any offers to fight you. They don't care about your brown belt.
Top Rank isn't going to break the piggy bank for you. They put you on Michaela Mayer's undercard, and now you have to go all the way to Japan for your next fight. So what does that tell you?
Negotiating from a position of weakness when there's more to be gained in a spirited loss. You could go in there with Boots, give a good account of yourself to where even if you lose, it's all right.
You're young. You can bounce back. So long as you give a good account of yourself, the fans will be there. But this, I can't support this.
It's just plain old cowardice, masked as business savvy. Business decisions when you're just scared. You're afraid of what will happen if you accept Matchroom's offer. You don't like your chances, and that's why you're moving the way you're moving.
It isn't rocket science. You feel safer traveling halfway around the world for a guy nobody knows than fighting Boots.
It isn't rocket science. And what contributes to boxing's decline in the American boxing scene is low morale. Fighters who just don't believe in themselves.
I mean, it used to be that fighters fought for the opportunity to showcase what they can do. Now they make a decision to where they've lost before the fight even happens.
Psychologically, they've already checked out, and that is the position that they negotiate from. Brian's fast-talking father doesn't fool anybody. Of course you're not going to like Eddie Hearn, because he put you on the spot. He brought you back down to reality.
You don't like that, because what did Eddie actually do but offer you more money than you normally make to unify titles with Boots? Is there supposed to be something wrong with that?
Is that supposed to be a bad thing? That you're a champion and so is he, and Eddie wants to pay for the fight?
Am I missing something?
How far from grace has the American boxing scene fallen? The American boxer is not what he used to be, and Brian Norman is a prime example.
Pitiful.